Right, folks, thought I'd share this story with you today to hopefully help a few people. I know that UK rent prices are absolutely ridiculous at the moment, and a lot of people are struggling to pay rent, especially with bills increasing, electricity, gas, and all the rest of it. I have been living in a van for the last 2.5 years. Now, I, like probably most of you guys, was living in an apartment in London. I was paying a ridiculous amount of rent, and I thought, bollocks to this. And then I decided to buy a van, live in the back of it whilst I built it, and then I basically saved enough money from not paying rent to then quit my job, and then I went traveling around Europe. I lived in London in a church ground parking, so I was literally just parked on the grass of a church, and I lived there for 18 months. I then quit my job, went traveling around Europe for about 10 months. Then I came back to the UK. I've been back in the UK for the last few months now, I think. And when I got back, I went straight back to London, and I was also still street camping, you could say, in London, because I wanted to see what it was like to actually street camp rather than do paid parking. Because the deal that I had was with the church. I was paying £150 per month parking space, but that was in zone 2, so it was right in the centre of London. It was actually in Mile End, and I had my work at the time where I was actually selling properties to investors at Liverpool Street, so it was only 2 miles away, so that was perfect for my situation. But you can find parking spaces even in the centre of London where you can just live in the back of a van, and it will save you a fortune. Now, obviously, the truth is you're going to have to give up a few of your luxuries, we should say, if you want to call it that. Now, I started living in the back of the van around the middle of 2022, I believe it was. I bought my van, it cost me £7,000, I saved up the money, and then I used the rest of my overdraft to buy the van, because I knew that it would save me more money than I was paying on rent and bills. And then I put that money from my job into paying off my overdraft, and then eventually buying all of the stuff that I needed for my van. But I literally started off in London in the back of the van. It was a totally empty van, same van that I'm still living in now, which is a Volkswagen Luton Crafter. But I started in the back of that with absolutely nothing. There was no insulation, there was no electrics, there was no water, no heating, absolutely nothing. So it depends, the truth is it depends on the level of sacrifice that you are willing to go through in order to then move forward, save more money, and then potentially progress in life, choosing which direction that you want to go in. I, at the time, always wanted to travel the world, so that's what I did in my van when I managed to eventually pay off the van, kit out the van, and then, like I said, I went traveling around Europe and then eventually over to Turkey. And yeah, we spent around 10 months living abroad. Like I said, I'm back in the UK now. When I came back to the UK, I actually decided to park near Richmond Park, which is actually a beautiful area of London. If you look at the average house prices of where I was parking, it's something ridiculous, like £2 to £3 million. And I was parked in my £7,000 van on a street that was literally a few hundred meters from Richmond Park. The parking was free, it wasn't costing me any money. I mean, granted, to be fair, the road that we were parking on actually kept flooding because we were literally next to the Thames. But yeah, we made it through, it never came above the tyres, so life is all good. Again, we didn't pay any money. Imagine the amount of money that these people are paying on their rent, paying for bills, gas, electrics, all of this. Now my van is completely kitted out because I made that sacrifice to live in it with nothing, and the money that I was paying on rent went straight into all of my electrics. I've now got a fire, a full-size double bed. It's completely insulated, solar powered, so it's all completely off-grid. So that also avoids these companies, these electrical companies, the gas companies, increasing rent like there's no tomorrow, increasing bills, and really there's nothing that you can do about it. Well, now I'm living in my van and I've got, I think, 650 watts of solar on the roof, 3 solar panels, full electrical system in the back. I've got a fireplace in the back, so heating is free. We just scavenge for wood. Sun's been pretty consistent over the last 4.5 billion years of turning up in the sky. Granted, we are in the UK and it's cloudy most of the time, unfortunately, but it's still, when you have a DC to DC charger, which I do, which runs off the van engine, then that's sufficient enough for me to do everything that I need. And we've got a shower, you know, we can charge our phones, lights, laptop work, everything that we need. So to be honest with you, for me, the only thing that I would say that you can't have in a van that really is quite convenient to have in a home or an apartment, rented apartment, whatever, is a washing machine. That's the only thing really that you'll never be able to have in a van because of the water usage, and I believe potentially it uses too much power. But either way, the water, it's just not feasible. But to be honest with you, for the sake of having to take a trip to the laundrette every so often, for the quite literally thousands of pounds that you can save on rent in London, I would say it's really not that much of a sacrifice. And then, yeah, basically I've spent the last month or so living in London, like I said, near Richmond, and that was successful. No one bothered us, it didn't cost us any money. Again, free electricity. Our gas as well is super cheap because I've got an LPG gas tank underneath. Cost me about £600 for the gas tank, but I can literally go to a petrol station that does LPG gas. It costs me about 90 pence for a litre, which works out, if I use a cooker, because we've got a proper cooker in the van, a cooker with 2 hobs and a grill. If we use the cooker every day, in the morning to cook something and in the evening to cook something, it'll cost us about, in the UK, £24 to fill up, and we can use that cooker every day for nearly 3 months. So think about that for a cost. We're literally spending, what does that work out as, about £8 a month on gas. Electricity's free, our water's free because we just fill up. You can fill up at petrol stations, there's churches, there's many places, to be honest with you, that you can actually fill up your water. There's a great app called Park4Night which tells you. Many other people who are living in vans put locations of where you can do your laundry, you can fill up your water, you can find parking spaces. And yeah, to the straight up truth, I know a lot of people complain about van life and you see people slating van life, but I've absolutely loved it. It was difficult whilst I was living in the van, and especially because it was winter. I started living in it, I think it was actually October 2022, I believe. Yeah, 2.5 years. And so I was, obviously that was right in the middle of winter, so it was absolutely freezing. There was nights that it was -5 and there was no insulation, no heating, no electrics. I literally had candles for light. But you kind of get used to it, is the straight up truth. I was just sleeping in a mattress with a pillow in the back. I had all of my work clothes in bin bags and all the rest of this until I eventually sorted it out and then neatened up the van. And I found it easy enough. You can easily join gyms. I was fortunate enough to have a shower room at work, but don't use that as an excuse, basically. You can easily just join a gym. My girlfriend started living with me. She's been living in the van now for about just over a year. And she joined the gym. I think it was Pure Gym, I believe, the one that she joined, just round the corner from us. And that's where she'd go each day to shower. So it's really quite easy, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, where there's a will, there's a way. If you do want to genuinely stop paying extortionate amounts of rent, go on a bit of an adventure in life, put yourself in a bit of a challenging situation. I do believe that you grow from difficult times. I certainly did. I mean, I came off my bike one time in London. I used to have an electric bike which I'd get to work, and I came off my bike. Someone walked out in front of me. I smashed into them, flew over. I dislocated my knee, dislocated my arm, and this was at the time when I was living in the van. And yeah, it was still at the very basic stage where I basically had nothing. And that was probably the most challenging time that I went through. I pushed on, and here I am now, 2.5 years later. We're still traveling around the UK. I've been to probably 18 countries now in the last what, 18 months since I left my job, and yeah, I'm still managing to travel and live free. And I say without a doubt, it is the best decision that I ever made. It's given me a different perspective on life. I'm happier, I'm calmer, and yeah, like I said, I'm obviously a lot more free. So I thought I'd share that with some people, because hopefully it helps some people see, you know, that there's potentially an alternative to, you know, the rat race or being chained to this system, which once you're in, once you're mortgaged up to your eyeballs, you're paying ridiculous rent, ridiculous bills and all the rest of it, it's very difficult to get out of. But I managed to do it, and you can too. So hopefully this helps some people. I'm still missioning around the UK. We've started vlogging around the UK now because I wanted to do YouTube for some time. Granted, I had a lot of breaks when I was in Europe because my plan was to just do travel vlogging whilst I was in Europe. I started this channel, I gained a decent amount of subscribers, got monetized, and then to be honest with you, I had a break for a while because I actually just wanted to travel. But that's another thing, it just shows you, I was selling properties in London, making a lot of money. I decided to flip the coin, quit that job, start a YouTube channel, and yeah, I'm not making much money at all now, but guess what, my overheads are absolutely minimal. I mean, I'm making enough basically to survive, to pay food, and to be in a beautiful forest like this, and I'm a lot more content. So hopefully this helps people. I think freedom is overlooked in life. And I guess the question that I've got to ask you is, what is the price for your freedom? I hope this has helped people. Stay free, stay happy, take care.